The regular season is over, and to follow up my video for every team's midseason grades, let's grade every team based on their second half. This will be alphabetical based on team name, so if you want to skip to your favorite team, it shouldn't be hard to find. The Angels get a D. They also got a D midseason, and their first half record went from 37-44 to 36-45. Pretty much the same level of bad. They were big sellers at the deadline. They were missing Trout for a month right when the second half started, but when he came back, he was awesome. Ohtani was a Cy Young candidate all year, but in the end, they were a big disappointment. The Astros get an A+. This matches their midseason grade, and that makes sense. They were 53-28 in the first half, and 53-28 in the second half. Added up, 106 wins. That's world class. And they did it with the AL's third best offense and #1 pitching staff. The A's get a C+. They started off way worse than they ended, 26-55, which earned them a D, but they finished 34-47, and that was after trading away Frankie Montas. Nobody's going to claim that's a good record, but it was better than the Red Sox, and not bad for a team that wasn't built to win. The Blue Jays get a B+. This is up from a C+ mid-season. Back then, they were 7 games over 500 and a big disappointment. I think most people had them winning this division, and they were 14 games back. Well, that division was out of the picture, and in the second half, they were 48-33, and they played well enough to host a wildcard series. That was a pretty good victory. The Braves get an A+. I know a lot of people were mad that I gave them a B at the halfway mark. At that point, they were 13 games over 500. That was coming off a great June, after a pretty bad April and May. They pretty much stayed hot from June till the end, 54-27. That's 27 games over 500. Only the Dodgers had more wins in the second half. They also got an A+ because they won the important games, needing to sweep the Mets on that final weekend and doing it. The Brewers get a D. After the trade deadline, this team ran into some tough times. They got a mid-season B+, 11 games over 500 and in first place, and they were a sub-500 team in the second half, giving up the Central Division quickly, and they weren't good enough to catch the Phillies for the last wildcard, even with all the Phillies' problems in September. The Cardinals get an A. I also gave them a B+, same as Milwaukee, and at the time, they were only 7 games over 500. They had a huge second half, 17 games over 500, runaway champs of the Central, and their success seemed to line up with Albert Pujols finding the fountain of youth. The Cubs get a B-. I know, they were kind of under the radar, but this Cubs team that got a D+ at 33-48 finished the second half over 500. They showed some life, a team that was not built to win, and it gave their fans something to be excited about. The Diamondbacks get a C. This one's pretty simple. They were 37-44 midseason. That got them a C. They were playing about as well as we expected. Second half, same thing, 37-44, so they get another C. That being said, the second half Diamondbacks were a lot more exciting to watch, and they seem to have a good young core along with some good starting pitching. Watch out for these guys next year. The Dodgers get an A+. I gave them an A at the halfway point, 52-29, typical great Dodger regular season. They found another gear in the second half, and that was even without their ace, Walker Buehler. 59-22 was a major league best. Also led the majors in runs scored and ERA. 111 wins is tied for the 4th most in baseball history. That's an A+ season. The Giants get a C-. I think at first, people were disappointed with the Giants after last year, so their 41-40 record was only good for a C-. They flipped that around in the second half. The only NL team to finish exactly 500 this year, so I give that a C-. This is not a great team. They just all seem to have amazing seasons at the same time last year. The Guardians get an A+. I was impressed with their midseason record. When I did the video, they were 40-36, but then they lost 5 in a row, and at the official halfway mark, they were 40-41. But regardless, they were 52-29 in the second half. Only the Braves, Dodgers, and Astros had more wins. Mix in a division title, and that's gotta be an A+. The Mariners get an A. I gave this team a D+ at the halfway point. They were 39-42 and a big disappointment. Then, right after, they ran off 14 in a row. This sparked a 51-30 second half, and their first run to the playoffs in 21 years. I wouldn't call it an A season, but the second half for sure deserves an A. The Marlins get a D-. Here's a team that was supposed to sniff 500, and at the halfway point, they were 3 games under, so I gave them a C. The second half wasn't as good, 21 games under 500, and they didn't even get to 70 wins. They weren't expected to make the playoffs, but they still managed to disappoint. The Mets get an A. I gave them an A+ when they were 50-31, and their second half was even better at 51-30. Yes, they lost the division to the Braves, and because they got swept in the most important series of the year, I can't give them an A+. Still, 51-30 is awesome. The Nationals get an F. They were really sad at the halfway point, 29-52 and earning an F then also. In the second half, they were even worse, 26-55. Makes sense, they lost Soto and Bell, but 29 games under 500 and a 107-loss season, that's a fail. The Orioles get an A. After losing 110 games last year, they were only 7 games under 500 at the halfway point, and I gave them a B for that effort. The second half was even better. They actually held a playoff spot for a couple days, and they played 11 games over 500 even after trading away Jorge Lopez and Trey Mancini. They couldn't finish off their playoff push, but they were contenders and they deserve an A. The Padres get a C. They were 13 games over 500 at the midseason point, and that got them an A. Their second half was kinda rough. They were fighting for a playoff spot by the end, and their second half ended just 3 games over 500. Not bad, but they took a step back, so they get a C. The Phillies get a B-. This team started so bad, they fired their manager after 51 games. They were 22-29 under Joe Girardi, and 65-46 under Rob Thompson. At 43-38, I gave them a C+, and they weren't much better in the second half at 44-37. I gave them a B- just because they were able to finish the job and take the last playoff spot, even despite a 3-13 run in September. The Pirates got a D. For a team expected to be bad, I gave them a C- for the 33-48 start. They played worse in the second half, 29-52. They couldn't stay out of the 100-loss club. I think a D might be generous. The Rangers get a D. I actually gave this team a B at midseason. They were 37-40 when I made that video, sniffing 500. By the official halfway mark, they were 38-43, and their second half was a big step back. 21 games under 500, and that was despite Marcus Semien playing a lot better. They went 10-23 in September and October, both their pitching and hitting falling off a cliff to end the season. The Rays get a C. Every year, this team finds a way to win, and I was impressed with their 43-37 record. That got them a B+. They didn't play great in the second half, only 3 games over 500, barely sneaking into the playoffs with a 6 seed. I don't think they deserve better than a C, kind of the same boat as the Padres. The Red Sox get an F. They were 45-36 and earned a B+. Then the wheels fell off. In the second half, they were 15 games under 500, and they finished last place in the AL East, just 1 year after making a run to the ALCS. The Reds get a D+. When they were 28-53, I gave them a D, mainly because they started 3-22, and they made a decent recovery. Their second half was more respectable, 34-47. Still not good, and they couldn't stay out of the 100-loss club, but a slight improvement. The Rockies get a C-. They traded away all their good players over the last few years, and they played as expected. They got a C for their 35-46 first half, and they were about the same in the second half, 33-48. A bit worse, so they get a C-. The Royals get a C-. They were really bad in the first half at 30-51 and earning a D-. They did improve in the second half, 35-46, avoiding a 100-loss season. Because of that, they get a full letter grade bump. The Tigers got an F. They were so disappointing in the first half at 34-47, and they were worse in the second half with 32-49. If the first half earned an F, the second half sure deserves one also. And this team that looked like they were on the rise after 2021 took a major step back. The Twins get a D-. This team got everyone so excited after their great A-grade first half, 45-36. Then they fell apart in the second half, 15 games under 500, losing control of the Central, missing the playoffs entirely. Just a complete disaster. The White Sox get a D. Their 39-42 start also got a D, and a lot of people thought they'd be able to turn it around with all that talent they had, but they didn't. Their second half was only 42-39, bringing their record up to 500 and failing to take advantage of a weak division. The Yankees get a C-. After an amazing first half that earned the rare A++, the Yankees were in danger of losing their enormous division lead. They recovered, clinched with 99 wins, but that second half was bad, just 41-40. It cost them a shot at the top seed in the AL, but not much else. Just gave their fans a heart attack, and the New York media something to talk about. That's all for my second half grades. Let me know where you agree or disagree and why in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like. And if you're new here and love baseball content, please consider giving me a sub for more just like this. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.